I grew up in Pineville. I was getting in trouble with the law, in and out of jail, and jobs became hard to find. This lady lets us stay up here. She said, as long as we don't burn the place down or tear it down, that we can stay up here. You never know what I may wake up to, aluminum bat, a gun, or whatever. I'm depressed, praying for God to remove me from such a place. I'm hurting.
What's it like to be really hungry and not have the money to buy food?
It's miserable. I go to Manna House every other day. The food is hot, and the place is cool in the summer, and it's warm in the winter.
You know Miss Chicola?
Yes, she's over the Manna House. She is so beautiful. If the world was like that, she is definitely Christ-like. Thank God for her.
The soup kitchen was started on May 9th, 1990 by Father Foley and a group of parishioners from his St. Francis Cabrini parish because the need was so great in Alexandria. There were so many homeless living in the street. That was our purpose. And I offered my empty old grocery store as a building to use. My husband had come up in the grocery business, and he always believed in fairness and sell as cheap as you could so people could eat. But he also believed in feeding those who didn't have food to come in here and money to buy with. We feed anyone who comes through the doors, no questions asked, no forms to fill out, no ID necessary. If they come through the doors, we feed them. Men who work at a minimum wage cannot afford $5, $6, $7 a day for a meal. If they're in our area, they will be fed. I think they're ready to serve y'all. Okay, y'all come on in. We got a good dinner for you and some good people serving. Come on in. We've been here 21 years, 3,500,000 meals ago, and fed the hungry. We've never run out of food. That's the most amazing thing. We have never run out of food. There's people came through here today that used to have nice homes and have lost them. We've had the paper mill to close within the last 3 months. You lose a couple of paychecks and see where you'll be. I had a man come in here the other day I had never seen before. He says, I was in a shelter in Atlanta, Georgia, and a man asked me where I was going. He says, well, I'm trying to get to Houston. He says, well, if you get routed through Alexandria, he says, go eat at the Manna House. They have good food, and they're there 7 days a week. Atlanta, Georgia. It takes us right at $8,000 a month to operate this place. We could never operate if we were buying food. The food has to be collected free. The first place each morning we pick up at Cabrini Hospital's leftovers from their cafeteria. and that helps us to stretch our meals. Then we go to the grocery stores and pick up day-old bread, and maybe bent cans that they would have.
What we do here is donate our donuts almost every day. The community should donate, should participate. You may be in that shape one day and you may need some help. I might be on that receiving end one day.
Food is part of the life down here, and making food and sharing of food is how we connect.
We're farming over 20 acres here. There's 8 inmates working out here this morning. The objective of the Pea Farm, number 1, was to raise produce to feed our inmates, and secondly, to give the inmates something to do, a job to do every day, get them out of the jails, get them out in the fields working. As we planted more, the land produced more, and we couldn't handle it in our prisons, and so we picked charitable organizations to give it to. Last year, we donated to the Manna House 3,895 pounds of produce off of this farm. We donate greens, turnips, cabbage, corn, peas, whatever the vegetable is we have, we share it with Manna House. At the Sheriff's Department, we just feel like we're doing our little bit of part to help society.
Okay, well, I'm gonna leave 4 zucchini, 4 yellers, and the potatoes, and 4 snap beans, and ever how many corn you want.
Yes, I can keep the corn.
Good.
Keep the corn. Yes.
Hey, Miss Eva.
All right, Mr. Reed, thank y'all for going to give this to the guys for me.
Sure.
Tell them thanks so much.
Our ladies that are on the line, if there's too many of us, I encourage them to take a tray and go sit down and eat with them, talk to them. You have to give them courage, and you have to know that God loves them. Some kind of way this is going to work for you. Don't give up.
The biggest misconception might be that these people are lazy. They don't want to go to work. They don't want to provide for themselves. But I really feel that many of these individuals have just fallen in the gap, and it takes all of us to pull them up.
You lost your job and, end up losing your house or anything like that, you just out. If I can get a 9 to 5, I take it. But, I take what I can get now.
Having a meal means something, or some extra clothing, or a blanket in the wintertime. Those are the things that make them feel like a whole person again.
My hope is to get into my own place. If I get into my own place, then I help somebody else. Come on, you come stay with me. I would do that. Maybe have somebody, you sleep on the floor if you want to. Bring your sleeping bag. I help them get out.
When you're there 7 days a week and you see it over and over and over, it's good to have these people that come in that brings fresh light on it. And the volunteers come in every day. They always are very encouraging.
Got in Manna House I got a DWI, and they asked me to come do some volunteer work here. And ever since then, I've just been volunteering here. Even though you messed up here, you can always make something positive out of your wrongdoing.
I met Miss Chicola in Walmart, and she said, "Dean, what are you doing?" Because I had just lost my husband. I said, "Feeling sorry for myself." She said, "Oh, no, don't do that." She said, "Come and volunteer at the Manna House."
When I was in high school, a lot of my friends would come with me on the weekends to just witness and observe and eventually put in their own effort and be back there peeling potatoes and washing the collard greens and get on the serving line and slosh with the spoons.
As much as we waste and as much as many of us are given, it's almost a sin to see our fellow man going hungry.
Okay, you got people over here that got to choose between medical and food or housing. I'm in the same boat, okay? Where do we draw the line? What do we do?
A large chain store was sued in Mobile, Alabama, because someone ate at a soup kitchen and it had picked up day-old food from a large chain. And so they sued the chain store, even though the Good Samaritan Act had been passed. And they reached a settlement outside of court, but it caused so many of the stores to stop giving this day-old merchandise. There's enough day-old merchandise that's thrown out that would occupy 2 soup kitchens. It's enough food. It's sad.
Hunger will make desperate people do desperate things. And if you can take those people that are hungry and at least feed them, I mean, it'll keep them from breaking in somebody's house just for food, or you know, breaking into a business just so they could get something to eat.
Manna House has been here for over 2 decades, and if it weren't here, a lot of people would go hungry. A lot of children would go hungry, especially during the summertime. It's the only hot meal that they get is at school. It'll be a dark day if Manna House ever closes. A very dark day.
And we had a call from Super One in Pineville that they had too many Franks left. They had overpurchased and they had 30 cases of hot dogs. Would we want them? Sure. So we went and picked them up. I went and picked them up and got back here, and Eva and I were putting them in the cooler, and we were talking about making beanie weenies the next day or chopping them up in red beans, and the phone rings again. And it was the Bunny Bread Stale Shop. And the lady there says, the relay truck left here and they left 30 cases of hot dog buns here, and I don't know what to do with them. Can y'all use them? So we went and picked them up. But the Lord has always provided some kind of way. We also are fortunate to have numerous caterers in town that when they finish with their catering, the food that's left is brought to us. And that could be anything. We serve the bottom of many wedding cakes. It's just as good as that top layer. There's many stories like that. Like the time we had no onions. And Eva says, you want to get some money, go get some onions at Albertson. Okay, pulled the door open, and there stood a farmer with 2 sacks of onions. He said, I've been at the farmer's market all day and I can't sell these 2 sacks of onions. You think y'all can use them? You have to be ready to put what you have in mind doing as your priority. It becomes your life. And it's not what you do, it's what it does for you once you get involved. If the Lord has blessed you with a good living and a good family, you need to share your love for people with other people, and you can do that by feeding them.
My mother got a check in the mail for $2,500 from a man. That when he was working, he lost his job. And he ate 2 months at the Manna House with his family. And when he got back to working, he sent her a check and told her thank you. Those are the things that make a difference. You know, it really does.
We eat too much, we waste too much. We don't think about what we're doing. It's who we've become as a society. It's a sad commentary on all of us. On the other hand, volunteers are evidence that we can be better than that.
The effect of Manna House on the community obviously is to feed a segment of people that need to be fed. It also feeds the people who are feeding the people who need to be fed.
To me, for those that much is given, much is required.
I don't know what it means to somebody else, but to me it means the world.
Working at Manna House has been very rewarding, and always Not just the preparing of the food for the people that's coming through, but just the sense of myself, you know. At the end of the day, you feel you've done something that's worthwhile and that it can keep going, keep giving.
I thank the Lord that there's been enough volunteers to show up, that we have made 200 people have a good meal at noon and that they have a full stomach. And I hope that this can continue with the grace of the Lord, yes.
The fact that you have a place to go and get a meal a day, how do you feel about that?
Joy. Joy.
It's proof that there is still good in a world that's become overrun with everything that it shouldn't be.
Good job, girls.
It's made me a better person just to see her 85 years old, still getting up and going every day.
Good morning, good morning. How y'all doing this morning? In the last 6 years, you're seeing younger people that are hungry. I've seen little children come in and say, Mama, hurry, put it in my mouth. So hungry. When you see that, you know the Lord put you there to do this job.
Olla Rae is a woman that you cannot confine to words. You just have to watch and observe and see what she does, because the truly amazing aspect of her life is that she gives so much and asks for nothing. Nothing. She is the most humble and grateful woman that I will ever know. And if I grow up to be half the woman that she is, I'll be happier with myself. Excuse me.
Just out of curiosity, what do you want? What are your hopes for this documentary? What are your hopes for this movie we're doing?
That maybe some other communities could see the need for feeding the hungry in that area, and also to stop the great amount of food that's thrown away each day in the grocery stores and restaurants. That could be salvaged and feed the hungry. I think that would be my greatest thing I'd like to see from this.